Hi, my name is Shillian, and this is my speech, my persuasive speech. This is my audience. Okay. As I look at my audience, I see a few of you are holding your phone, a couple of you have your laptops, and there are even more of you that have both in your laps. According to a recent study on Statista, Americans use electronic media for over 11 hours a day. That means you're on some type of electronic device for over 90% of your day. Even more alarming, over 30% of that time that you spend on your device is spent on social media. This includes sites and apps like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Tinder, and more. Social media has taken my generation by storm. However, not all of its effects have been positive. In fact, social media use has produced many adverse consequences that are often unseen by today's society. Some of these consequences include less face-to-face interactions with peers, a huge lack of privacy, and the fact that it's time-consuming, unproductive, and highly distracting. Today, I will talk more about some of these consequences and hopefully help you realize that social media is slowly but surely ruining our society. I will also provide some solutions to this epidemic and ways that you can be involved. Although social media and social networking provide a great way to stay in touch and communicate with others, they have begun to replace a lot of face-to-face interactions that people would normally participate in if they weren't so caught up in their devices. A lot of communication between my generation takes place through comments, tweets, Snapchats, and DMs, or direct messaging. Although this can be a sufficient way to communicate, it cuts out a lot of personal and emotional aspects of language and communication. Just by looking at a tweet, you won't be able to tell how the sender feels. You're missing out on a lot of facial expression and body language that really makes up a large component of communication. Not only has the use of social media cut down on face-to-face interactions, it has also begun to interfere with the development of social skills in individuals, especially youth that have grown up during this electronic media explosion. A recent study done by the psychology department at Connecticut College found evidence supporting that individuals who use technological communication more often and preferred it face-to-face communication have poorer social skills. Many individuals today just aren't getting enough experience and exposure to these interactions and aren't staying present in the real world. Another reason social media is infringing upon society has to do with privacy. Every time you post a tweet or a Snapchat, you reveal a little bit of information about yourself, demographically and personally. Privacy on social media is almost non-existent. Sure, there are many tools and security features that these platforms provide to keep you safe and protect your privacy. However, there are always a way to bypass them. On Facebook alone, someone can find out your name, what you look like, your interests, where you're employed, where you went to school, your education, etc. Just by simply friending someone, you're sharing a lot of information about yourself that you may not realize, which could lead to a dangerous situation. Getting back to the more general topic of privacy, a lot of individuals nowadays overshare on their social media and have personally lost their sense of privacy. A recent study done on teens and students showed that 88% of them agree that people share too much information about themselves on social media, and they're reporting feeling almost too connected with their peers. When it comes to privacy on social media, there's almost none. The last and most important reason why social media is ruining society encompasses concerns that all intertwine to create one big problem. The first concern is that social media is very time-consuming. As mentioned at the beginning of the speech, Americans spend over 3 hours of their day checking and browsing social media. This correlates with the next concern. Spending this much time on social media just results in being unproductive. It's not hard to grasp the concept that if you're spending most of your time scrolling through Twitter and tapping on Instagram photos, then you're spending less time working and doing your homework. Even when you're trying to be productive, however, social media can be a huge distraction, which is my next concern. According to KCPB's Internet Trend Report, Americans check their phone over 150 times a day. That means you probably checked your phone at least 6 times in the past hour. Now imagine how big of an impact this could have when you're trying to study for a big final or you're trying to write a speech. Constantly checking your phone or social media presents a huge problem because you're zoning into a mindless activity and taking your focus off of something way more important. This concept could even apply to situations such as texting and driving, which could have dangerous consequences. These concerns just mingle to create a constant cycle of inefficiency and unproductiveness, which heavily and negatively influence our society in the long run. In order to combat the damaging effects of social media on our society, there's a simple solution. All we need to do is cut down on our social media use and become more involved in human connection. In order to create a change in society, change needs to start on an individual level. Simply doing these things not only produces positive results for you, but also for our society as a whole. By limiting how much you check and use Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat, you're addressing all of the problems I previously stated. Taking the time you would normally use to tweet something at your friend and instead of having a real conversation with them can help you to develop stronger connections with your peers and communicate with people you actually care about. Also, by reducing your social media use, you're limiting what information you share with others and increasing your level of privacy. This in turn also causes a need for more face-to-face interaction because if people want to know things about you, then they need to ask. Finally, if you're spending less time on social media, then you have more time to spend being productive. Personally, I know that if I would have used half the time I spent checking my phone on my speech, I would have probably finished hours or even days ago. I hope and strongly urge you to take all of these things into consideration and think about just how much time you spend on social media and how this can adversely affect our society. Thank you for listening.